Speak on the Show, episode 22. Saturday morning, y'all. 10 a.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Eastern, 7 a.m. Pacific. I'm back, y'all. Y'all ready? Let's go. Good morning, good morning, good morning. First and foremost, giving honor to God who allows me to come at you in this manner on a weekly basis. I'm back, y'all. I'm back Saturday morning, 10 a.m. Eastern, 7 a.m. Pacific. That's what we do here every Saturday morning on the Speak on this show. OT, back. Let's go. All right, my brother. I appreciate you, bro. Saturday morning, y'all. Let's get these formalities out of the way and let's get into this. rwcoons.com, rwcoons on all social media platforms. We're also broadcasting live on YouTube and Facebook this morning. You can download after the show on Spreaker.com or I just lost my train of thought. You can download the audio on Spreaker.com or Apple iTunes. On Apple iTunes, it's under Speak on the Show. Just search Speak on the Show. You'll find it right there. That's the audio. Spreaker.com. Apple iTunes. There you go. 844-904-2665. 844-904-2665. No matter what the situation is, let your voice be heard. All we ask is if you say what you mean and mean what you say. If you call into the show, you call in as a listener, you leave as family. That's what we do here. We can agree to disagree because that's what we do here on the Speak on this show every Saturday morning. I took a 2-week hiatus, had some things I had to do, had some travel I had to do. Let me tell y'all something. And I'm gonna wait because it's part of the mind, body, and soul today. So I'm gonna hold off on that. But I would tell you this. As Nike says, just do it. Don't wait. Don't hesitate. Just do it. And I'm gonna leave you with that. It's a unscripted Saturday, y'all. It's an unscripted Saturday. That's what we're going to do here. That's what we're going to do. Michelle Long, good morning. Yes, welcome back. I appreciate your support. Thank you for always tuning in on these Saturday mornings. It feels good to be back with y'all on the microphone. Y'all see I got this smile on my face. Look, I look like my skin glowed a little bit. I don't know what's going on. I guess I'm just happy to see y'all, even though I can't see y'all. So I appreciate the support. But let's go on and get into this unscripted Saturday and get this conversation going. Brittany Griner. And everybody knows what's been going on with Brittany Griner. She was arrested in Russia. Sure. Trying something new, y'all. Try to put a collar shirt on, make it look a little bit more professional, but we're going to make some changes time going. But that's another conversation for another day. Brittany Griner being held in Russia. 4 vials, vapes of marijuana is what she was arrested for. Says she was packing hastily, didn't know she packed them, so on and so forth. Everybody knows the story. But yet the other day, she was finally sentenced, and she was sentenced to 9 years. And then they gave her the 5 months served on the sentence. But they gave her 9 years. So basically 9.5 years. A lot of conversation about Brittany Griner, her being arrested overseas, her having marijuana in a foreign country, and what they put up with, what they won't put up with. Then there's a conversation of whether she's being held as a political prisoner by Russia because all this happened right before Russia invaded Ukraine and so on and so forth. We all heard the conversation. We've all heard the conversation. But I think what's slid under the radar with this, and I'm not trying to throw people under the bus, but I want to give you perspective on this. But Brittany Griner had 4 vape pens in Russia, and she's been arrested, as I mentioned. But here on the United States soil, we have 2 NBA ball players, one former and one current. They were arrested for marijuana possession, felony marijuana possession. That would be Montrezl Harrell and Iman Shumpert, former player, Montrezl Harrell, player for the Charlotte Hornets. Now, when you put this in perspective, for me anyway, yeah, I'm just gonna put it to you like this. When you put this in perspective of what's going on with the drugs and everything. Good morning, Whedon. Good morning, sis. Appreciate your support. But when you put this in perspective of what's going on with Brittany Griner overseas and what's going on here in the States with people being arrested for drugs on a daily basis, not just the two NBA players I mentioned, but I brought them up because she's a WNBA player. The two that were arrested made millions of dollars playing in the NBA. Let's just be honest. And the only reason Brittany Griner was overseas playing is because the WNBA doesn't pay their players as much as the NBA. And that's a topic of conversation, that if she was making as much money, or if they were paying the WNBA players as much as they pay, the NBA players, she wouldn't have had to be in Russia. This wouldn't have happened, so on and so forth. It's the what ifs in narrative for me. That's just the way it goes. But in this situation, I think people need to step back for a minute and realize this. Political or not, for what she's being held, we'll never know until it all comes out. The fact that she had it in her bag, you had to take her word for it on what exactly happened or how she packed it. I want everybody to take into account when we talk about Brittany Griner and the visuals on it and what's going on. I want people to take into account that if you or me, normal everyday citizen, not a WNBA player, not a military member at the time or anything like that, is in a foreign country and gets arrested for drugs on their possession or anything like that, would the publicity be as much as it is? Now, I'm not trying to minimize what's going on with Brittany Griner. I'm just trying to give you a perspective that made me think about some things. Because there's a lot of people that go overseas and get arrested for certain things, acting out, doing things they shouldn't be doing in these foreign countries and everything. And I've never heard as much publicity about it as this. Now, mind you, as I said, she's a WNBA player. She's in Russia. The war in Ukraine is going on. But I would tell everyone that's just in earshot, and tell your family members, tell your friends, tell everybody, if you're going to pack to go overseas anywhere, you might want to check your bags 2, 3, 4 times. Or you might want to be cognizant that every rule that's in the United States is not consistent with the rules overseas. Whether you're going to Jamaica, Dominican Republic, Italy, Europe, Asia, Moscow, wherever you may be going, take all these things into account, because other countries are not as forgiving as here. Depending on who you are here, depending on who your lawyer is, depending on what your status is, you may get a slap on the hand. Overseas is a different conversation. Now, with all that being said, I pray that Brittany Griner will be returned home safely. There's talks about them negotiating the deal with a prisoner exchange with an arms dealer or something like that, and everything like that. A lot of people up in arms about that, because they're saying, why should they be exchanging an arms dealer with a drug addict? That's what they said. I didn't say it. I'm just repeating it. They called her a drug addict because of what she had in her bag. And these are all, it's a political things. You know who's saying these things. Be aware, people. Be aware. Know what's going on, and know the rules of where you're going when you decide to go. All I'm saying. You can't continue to walk around like you're untouchable and anything like that. I'm not saying she did, but I'm just telling you for the rest of you, so you don't fall into this situation. Make sure that you're aware of what's going on around you. Make sure you know what's going on in the countries you're going to, and make sure you check your bags 2, 3, 4 times before you pack something that you shouldn't be packing. Just saying. It's a sad state of affairs. Sad state of affairs with that. And then you have other people that are being held, that they're talking about. Why is there not as much publicity on them? And as I just mentioned, it goes without saying that Brittany Griner being a WNBA player, a lot of people say that's why they arrested her. That's why she's going through what she's going through, because of the publicity they will get from it. I don't know. I don't write the rules. I just report the news. Oh, I like that. I don't write the rules. I just report the news. Look at that. Look at God. Okay, let's go on and move to the next thing. So this week, CPAC, Conservative Political Action Conference, down in Dallas, Texas. They had a conference down in Dallas, Texas. And they had a lot of speakers. Trump, I think, spoke one. Former President Trump spoke one day. Some other people spoke one day. But these are political pundits, Republicans, those type meetings. But this is something that didn't sit well with me when I read it. The Hungarian Prime Minister, Viktor Orban is his name. And they invited him to come speak at the CPAC. Now, if you don't know who Viktor Orban is, let me give you a little insight. Viktor Orban is from Hungary, and he has this real. I want to watch what I'm saying here for a minute. He has this. He's in line with what we're hearing about the Republican Party and which way they're trying to go. Let's just put it that way. He came to the United States. They invited him to speak on him, and this is why I'm bringing this up. They invited this Hungarian prime minister to come speak at a political event, the CPAC, on American soil, and allowed him to spew, I'm going to say spew, as well as throw out his vitriol about how he feels about things that are going on around the world and how things need to change. He said, and I quote, "Washington and Brussels will decide the battle for Western civilization. Today, we hold neither of them." He had asserted in May, placing the Biden White House and the UN in his sights. "It's time to take back institutions in Washington, D.C. and Brussels," he said in Dallas, urging attendees to coordinate the movement of our troops. Viktor Orban is a true proponent of overthrowing government when government doesn't fit to the narrative of what you think government is. Let's just be honest about this. And the Republican Party, the CPAC, decided to invite him to speak at their conference in Dallas, Texas, on American soil, where we just had an insurrection back in January that's still being denied to this day. But my question would be, what is the symbolism of inviting a person like that to this type of event here in the United States of America, knowing what has gone on, knowing the deniers about the election, voter fraud, all these different things you can bring up. And it also says the military analogies and references to collaboration likely pleased other CPAC Dallas speakers who wish to galvanize a far-right international movement. These people include, and you'll recognize the names, Steve Bannon, Nigel Farage, and Eduardo Bolsonaro. Now watch this now, whose father, President Jair Bolsonaro, has threatened a Brazilian version of January 6th in Brazil, saying that only God can remove me from power. Have we heard this before? You may not have heard those exact words, that only God can remove me from power, but we've seen the actions of someone thinking. We've seen the actions of someone thinking and his supporters that only God should be able to remove that person from power because they feel they should have the power. This type of stuff is going on right in front of our face. They don't hide it anymore. They put it out there for the masses to see. And what they're trying to do is get this movement going. As I've said before, and I'll continue to say it, January 6th was a trial run. January 6th was a trial run on how to go about overthrowing the government to fulfill what they want and what certain people want to be in position to do. I don't get it. This is Chris Jones. Good morning, my brother. Good morning. Appreciate you. Appreciate you. Georgie Port. I'm not even going to ask, bro. I'm not even going to ask. But these are the things that we see, but we blow off. We see them, but we blow them off thinking, it'll never happen here. It'll never happen here. But we have people coming on United States soil who have these visions of what their country should be. And we, and I say we as Americans, we have political appointees in this country, inviting these type people here to speak in front of their constituents to try to impose their will on us because they were able to do it overseas. Now, you've heard me say on here many times how we go out and we overthrow governments in other countries to impose our will and try to push that democracy per se. I'm not saying I agree with it. I know we do it. But is that something that's going on right here behind the scenes? I don't know. But for them to invite this guy, Gary Burns, good morning. Appreciate you, bro. Appreciate you. Also, Orban, and it says in here, Orban's pugnacious way of dealing with the controversy sparked by his recent comments about the danger posed to Western civilization by, watch this now, mixed race peoples is also instructive stateside. They did not want me to be here. Now, he said this in his speech. They did not want me to be here. They, standing in for a supposed cabal of communist liberals, George Soros acolytes who label him a far-right European racist, anti-Semitic strongman, Trojan horse of Putin, as he sarcastically put it. See, this tells you the mindset of what is going on in the political party they call Republicans. And I'm not going to say, I'm going to clear this up real quick because I'll be getting on y'all Republicans out there about who you voting for, who you putting in office, and we're going to get in about these primaries in a minute. But I'm not going to say that all Republicans out here have this same mindset. But what I will say is if you continue to vote these same people in who have this mindset, what does that say about you? There's a tide and a shift blowing through the Republican Party at this time, and it's spreading across these United States of America. And it's not pretty. It's not pretty, and it's not going to end well, depending on how you want to see it. Brian Hoodie, good morning, my brother. Good morning. I'll go back to what I said in the beginning before I started reading about this Viktor Orban. They invited the Hungarian prime minister with these views to speak at the Conservative Political Action Conference in Dallas, Texas this week. Let that marinate for a minute. A prime minister from a foreign country is coming to speak to a conservative political action conference in Dallas, Texas on United States soil, spewing this vitriol about things being overthrown and overthrowing governments and staying in power because God said he should stay in power. I've said it before and I'll say it again and I'll continue to say it. We need to be aware of these people that we're voting off. We need to be aware of these people that are going up here running for these positions because they don't have the interests of the people at hand. They have the interests of the power. It's about the power. Primaries this week. It leads into this. Do you know as of July 28th, at least 20 election deniers are running for Secretary of State, with many already winning the GOP nomination? Let me read that again. As of July 28th, at least 20 election deniers are running for Secretary of State, with many already winning the GOP nominations. Now, let's break this down for a minute before I get into this. You have 20 people who are staunch election deniers, meaning that they said that Joe Biden didn't win the election, that there was fraud and so on and so forth. 20. Terrence Collins, good morning, my brother. Good morning. Appreciate the support. 20. And they're all running for Secretary of State. Why? Do y'all know what the Secretary of State does? Secretary of State certifies election results. Secretaries of State in each state in this United States of America certify election results. 20 election deniers are running for that position in the United States of America. And it says, because these candidates are not just talking about the 2020 election, they're also openly laying the groundwork to undermine or even overturn future elections unless a Republican who supports their politics wins. They are laying the groundwork to undermine or even overturn future elections unless a Republican who supports their politics wins. These people, and I've said this on here, and I'm gonna continue to say it again, and y'all gonna get tired of me saying this, but we gotta be cognizant of this. Cognizant. What is wrong with me today? We need to be cognizant of what's going on. You have people, Big Al, my brother, good morning, good morning. We have people who are known election deniers running for political positions in your state right now under the Republican umbrella that will give them the power to overturn or not certify an election if someone that they felt or they support does not win the election fairly. They want to be able to overturn it because they're in a position of power. I'm not saying these things to scare y'all, but I'm saying these things to scare you. I'm not saying these things to scare you, but I'm saying these things to scare you. You feel me? Some of these people are oath keepers. You know, the oath keepers that try to overthrow an insurrection. And it also says in the lead up to Tuesday's election, Fincham, and I can't remember where Fincham is from, he's a self-identified militia member, oath keepers militia member. In leading up to Tuesday's election, Mr. Fincham continued to peddle election lies, including the 2020 election was conducted with software that flips votes, and that Marxists conspired to manipulate the ballots. And as we all know, there is zero evidence of widespread voter fraud in any way to help Joe Biden win. Zero. But they keep talking the same thing. And it also says, per the Washington Post, as of June, at least 108 Republican candidates for statewide office and Congress who have embraced Trump's 2020 election denial have won the nomination of their party and will be on the ballot this fall. 108 Republican candidates for statewide office and Congress who support the former president's election lies will be on the ballot this fall. Pay attention. Pay attention. The most concerning of these candidates are the GOP nominees for Secretary of State, who will have the power to potentially deny the will of the people in future elections if they don't agree with the outcome. You know, I want everybody to think about this for a minute. I want you to think about when you were a child and you went to participate in sports, races running down the street, bike races, skate, whatever kind of competition that you participated in as a child. And understand that when you won, you won. And when you lost, you lost. And there was no ambiguity. I like that word right there. There was no ambiguity of whether you lost or won because we seen it right in front of our eyes. There was no, if you lost by 2-3 steps or if it was a photo finish at the finish line or anything like that, that you could deny that you lost and the other person did not win. No way, no how. If you played baseball, football, basketball, soccer, tennis, anything you played was on a point system, you either won or you lost. Now, I want you to take that mindset that competition was all about there's always a winner and a loser. But it was the thrill of the event. that kept you going back for more because you always thought that you would win next time. Now I want you to think, if the concept of what the Republican Party and its members are doing in today's society was implemented in your mind as a child, when you were out there doing those races or those sporting events or anything like that, that if you ran a 100-yard dash and lost by 10 yards, that you could stand in front of somebody and say, I didn't lose. I beat him. You got a bleachers full of people up there watching, but you're saying out of your mouth that you beat him. And then the people in the stands, there's a certain amount of people that support you because of who you are, and they know you and they're your family, and they say, yeah, he won. What did y'all see? You see how ignorant that sounds? Now flip it back. You see how ignorant that sounds in today's society when we're talking about elections in this country? For the people that fought and died for the right to vote in this country. Now, see, here's the part that we're missing. The Voting Rights Act was something that gave women, minorities, African Americans the right to vote in this country. And now that that right to vote is in place and has been going on, and they've seen the tables turn in the aspect of who's being elected and who's not being elected, they find it not advantageous for them. So what do? They change the rules. So while changing the rules, they can't just say outright, you can't vote, you can't vote, you can't vote. So they put things in place. They put mechanisms in place to prevent you from even wanting to go vote. Moving the ballot boxes, drop boxes, when you can vote, the hours you can vote, what you can't drink in line, and all those things. All those things to try to prevent you from wanting to go and vote because they make it difficult. And now that it seems that that didn't work to the extent they wanted, now they say, wait a minute. Let's put people in position to be able to dictate how the results will come out, whether they're right or wrong. Now flip it back and think about when you were a kid, if there was a coach or a referee or a judge that you crossed that finish line 10 yards in front of this other guy. And because he liked him more than you, or he likes his background more than you, he looks different than you, he tells you he won, you didn't, even though everybody's seen you cross the line. Now I'm trying to simplify this as much as possible to get the point across that there's people in this country, as much as there's a lot of people that don't want to admit to this, but there's a lot of people in this country who don't have the masses of the population's best interests at hand. And we sit back, and I say we as a group of people, everyone, we sit back. Sometimes we'll vote, sometimes we won't vote. Sometimes we find reasons not to vote for certain people, or we listen to what people say about this person to minimize who they are as a person so we don't vote for them. Hillary Clinton. They rode the coattails about her emails and the server and everything like that to give you doubt about whether she was trustworthy enough to be president of this United States. And then we find out that after they went through all that with her, we still got people in political positions that did the same thing as her with the text messages and all these different things. But at the end of the day, what did she do different than what they're doing? But she didn't get elected, but y'all elected those folks that said lock her up and all these things. And we see these investigations going on and nobody's been held accountable yet. But we choose not to go to the polls. We choose to only wait until we see somebody, and I'm going to talk about my people for a minute, that look like us. And now we're here. Now we are here. And where we're at, I don't know why my voice cracked like that. Where we're at, we're at a point of no return. And at this point, where we're at right now, with these people running for Secretary of State in these states, where the election results can be overturned because they have the position and the wherewithal to do it, and there's nothing we can do about it because they were elected into the position. November of 2022 is more important than any election you've ever been in. I'm gonna say it. They say, "Oh, this is a vote for your life, vote or die." All these, no. This year, after what went on in 2020 and the insurrection on January 6th, the primaries coming up this year will probably be the most substantial vote you have ever cast in your life. Not because of who's running, because of the power that may be consumed by a certain party to be able to dictate as if this is a dictatorship in this country. And if you ain't paying attention, you haven't been paying attention, you better start paying attention. Edward Allen, Republicans always play the long game. Dems got to do the same. People coming in now getting ready to replace the old guard. There it is. And if you notice, Big Al, appreciate that. This young guard pushing out the Mitch McConnells and the Lindsey Grahams and all this kind of stuff are more extreme and more outright doing it right in front of your face than any of the politicians we ever seen since Nixon and Trump. Right in your face. Not trying to hide it, not trying to cover it up. They just doing it. And the problem I have with it, good morning, Kamiko Soul King. Appreciate it. Good morning, cousin. The problem I have with it, you hear people in this country continually say, he's a patriot. He's a patriot. That's a patriot. He loves this country. He loves this country. And the people that are out here running for these positions to be able to overthrow your election vote coming up for years and years and years are the same people who will tell you that you're not a patriot, that you should go back to your country, that you don't have a right to have a vote, you don't have a right to do this. These are all the same people that think that immigration is the worst thing that happened in this United States of America. Those are the ones doing these things. But then we have people who support them and know what they're doing and are okay with it. Why? Because it's not affecting them directly. And then you have to ask, if they're supporting them, do they have the same views as them? Because I'm going to go into what I say and I'll continue saying it. Are you an ally or a lie? Are you an ally or a lie? There's a guy in Pennsylvania, I'm sorry, Mastriano. Doug Mastriano, he's the GOP gubernatorial nominee. He was at the January 6th insurrection. He won the Republican nomination for Pennsylvania. He has vowed, if elected, to require people to re-register to vote. Constitutional law experts say this violates federal law and it would cause chaos. In Nevada, another crucial state, Jim Marchant, a former assemblyman with links to QAnon, won the GOP nomination for Secretary of State. Marchant claims Biden didn't win the election, and if he were Secretary of State in 2020, he wouldn't have certified the results. We haven't elected anybody here since 2006, is what he said. They have been installed and selected by the cabal. He also helped create, allegedly, at the urging of people in the Trump orbit, the America First Secretary of State coalition that Fincham and Karamo have joined. These people ain't playing, y'all. These people ain't playing politics no more. They playing dictatorship. Marchant has said that if elected, he will get rid of electronic voting machines, voting by mail, and early voting, and move to a hand-counted paper ballot system. But let's be honest, no matter the voting system used, if Marchant doesn't like the results, there's little doubt he will refuse to certify an election as Secretary of State. Should these democracy deniers win, the 2024 presidential election could be rigged before the first ballot is cast. If these deniers win, the election will be rigged before the first ballot is cast. Pay attention. Know the people you're voting on. Know the people running for office. I had this conversation with somebody the other day. Edward Allen, patriot equals racist equals white supremacy. That's who they usually try to use it on. You never hear them call anyone of color a patriot. Never. I haven't. I have never heard any person of color be called a patriot. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong, but I've never heard that. So you could be right with that. I had a conversation with someone the other day, and we were talking about the political footprint right now. And as much as he tried not to show his hand about what side he's on, he did. Because one of the things I said to him, I said, if we could get back or start and change the political landscape of there are no Republicans, there are no Democrats, and people ran on the principles of what politics is all about, rather than being a political party affiliated and just holding on to that party no matter what, right, wrong, and different. I said things would be a lot different. His retort to me was, well, yeah, but then you don't have a certain conservative or liberal. I said, well, that's the problem right there. You just said it yourself. When did we get to the point where in politics you had to be either conservative or liberal? In most cases, in our own households, we're both. You're a conservative and a liberal. In your everyday life, most of us are conservative and liberal at the same time. So why in politics do you have to be one or the other? Either or. No in between. Because when it comes to you and your household and you have to do your budget, you're conservative. But when you feel that you got enough money in your account that you want to go out and splurge a little bit, you become liberal. So what the are we really doing? When we go out here and we want to deal with a party because we say we're conservatives as far as our tax dollars and our money that we spend, let's think about this. Conservative or liberal, the politicians haven't been able to balance a budget in how long? We've been in debt. This country has been in debt for how long? Now flip that to you and your people and your family, and if you were in debt for that long, you would be in bankruptcy by now. But not this country. But we still got people out here. Let's move on. I don't recognize his name. I don't recognize his name. Now, this was a statement made from former President Trump. Now, this is a sign that you can't put everybody in a political office when they got to make decisions, because they make decisions off the not what they know, but what they think. And what they think sometimes is, not the best. Al-Qaeda leader Ayman al-Zawahiri was killed by a U.S. drone strike under President Biden's watch on Monday. Then President Trump during his term had the option to kill al-Zawahiri, but chose not to. And the reason he chose not to is because he didn't know his name. He said, wait a minute. Why are we killing him? I don't recognize his name. Now, mind you, al-Zawahiri helped Osama bin Laden plot the September 11, 2001 attacks, which directly killed nearly 3,000 people. We have a person sitting as a president that doesn't recognize the name. Now, I want to bring this up. This president gets briefing after briefing after briefing, intelligence briefings all the time, but he don't know who this guy is. And then when they said they got him in their sights, they can go ahead and take him out. They need to take him out. He said, no, I don't know that name. Don't do that. I want to go after this guy. Osama bin Laden's son. Donald Trump, former President Donald Trump, chose not to go after the Al-Qaeda leader that we know was part of 9/11. He didn't want to go after him because he didn't know his name, but he wanted to go after Osama bin Laden's son because he recognized his name. And it would be, and I quote, let me get it right, that it would be a celebrity target killing. A celebrity targeted killing. So because he's Osama bin Laden's son, he felt that he was more important and he would get more notoriety by going and killing him than he would the person responsible, partly responsible for 9/11. I don't make this up. But think about that for a minute. He wasn't concerned about who we had. He wanted to go after who he thought was more important in the eyes of publicity and celebrity. And this is the person that some people out there are willing to vote for to become president again. It says this. Intelligence officials briefed Trump many times about senior terrorist figures the CIA wanted to track down and kill, mentioning al-Zawahiri, NBC News reported. Two people familiar with the briefings told NBC News that Trump chose not to pursue al-Zawahiri because he didn't recognize his name and instead suggested targeting bin Laden's son, Hamza bin Laden. Trump confirmed in 2019 that the young bin Laden had been killed in a U.S. counterterrorism operation earlier on in his presidency. Despite intelligence assessments showing the greater dangers posed by Zawahiri, as well as his Iran-based lieutenants al-Masri and Saif al-Adil, and the unlikelihood Hamza was in the immediate line of succession, the president thought differently. The former CIA official Douglas London wrote in Just Security in 2020. He added that Trump's obsession with bin Laden's son is one example of the president's preference for a celebrity-targeted killing versus prioritizing options that could prove better for U.S. security. As what's his name? Michael B. Jordan as Killmonger said to the people when he was whooping Chadwick Boseman, T'Challa in Wakanda, in the Black Panther. Is this your king? Is this your president? Is this the person that you guys want to serve as president of this United States? I'm just asking. I'm just asking. With all the advisors around him, all the advisors that are assigned to the president of the United States, as well as the vice president, as well as Congress and the Senate, who all are there to advise. This is what we get. This is the decisions that are being made under the former president, and people want him to be president again. You know, money blinds people. I'm just going to say it this way. Money blinds people. And I say money blinds people because when people talk about Trump, the only thing they can hold on to is how good the stock market was doing. Tell me anything else he did that was good other than people holding on to the stock market part. And what people need to realize is, and I found this out through research, when you have a president come into office, anything that happens within the first 2 years of him taking over office is residual from the former president. It's not the president that just came into office's effect on the stock market. What happened in the stock market was a residual effect from Barack Obama's 8 years in office. Let's just be honest about it. Now, the person that's sitting in the chair takes the credit, but you have to look at what led up to the stock market being where it was at. Billy Easter, you're on, my brother. Easy E, what's up, my brother? Appreciate the support, man. Thanks for tuning in. So let's get off these politics for a minute. Let's talk about something else. It's still political, but not really. Justice for Breonna Taylor. Finally. Now, we talked about Breonna Taylor in depth on this show when it happened. And I recall saying that something didn't seem clean in the water with what they were saying and what was going on. And now this week, the Department of Justice, Merrick Garland, the Attorney General, has announced charges against 4 officers. Federal charges against 4 officers. I'm pretty sure everybody's seen it. Everybody probably celebrating everything. And I'm not going to go through all the names and everything because they're irrelevant to me. Those people are irrelevant to me because of what they did and how they did it. They faked the search warrant. They knew that Breonna Taylor was not involved in anything drug affiliated. They didn't use proper procedures when they went into the house, so on and so forth. What we hear all the time when somebody of color dies in one of these raids or gets pulled over, nothing was done as far as protocol in this situation. Nothing. But now the Attorney General of this United States of America has charged 4 officers with that, with the death of Breonna Taylor, the conspiracy, all the things they did wrong. But I'm gonna go back for a minute because I want all y'all to remember when this first came out. Joe Kirk, yeah, the water was real, buddy. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Appreciate support. But I want y'all to think back that when all this came out, and I want y'all to remember this brother, and I'm gonna say this brother in color. Kentucky Attorney General Daniel Cameron. Kentucky Attorney General Daniel Cameron stood in front of the cameras and said that once he investigated what went on with the Breonna Taylor case and everything, that the police did everything correct. He said this, not me, the Attorney General for Kentucky, Daniel Cameron. I want you to remember his name, Daniel Cameron. He determined officers knocked and announced themselves as police before entering Taylor's apartment. He said this was corroborated by a civilian witness. He said everything that they did on that day was correct. But mind you, they paid Breonna Taylor's family $12 million. $12 million for wrongful death or whatever they did, civil rights violations. But now we're finding out that Attorney General Daniel Cameron didn't do his damn job. Because if Merrick Garland and his people can come in and find this evidence, he could have found the same thing, but he chose not to. So my question is, and I bring this up because I'm wondering now, what are the consequences for these people that didn't do their job? We're holding the police officers who did the dirty work accountable. But let's hold the people who were supposed to investigate and get to the bottom of what happened in this accountable. Attorney General Cameron, the chief of police, the governor, all those people that are affiliated with this case, who had their names on that investigation, saying everything was done full board and on point, they need to be held accountable by the Attorney General of this United States of America as well. See, this is where I always talk about this, that they always go for the low-hanging fruit. They always go for the low-hanging fruit, but the people that made these decisions and overlooked and turned their head the other way never are held accountable. We all knew. We all knew. Big Al, I done told you. I done told you. I'm not. Y'all can read that for yourselves. I'm not going to say. Attorney General Daniel Cameron. That's all I'm going to say. You call him what you want. I don't use those words. But I think we all can understand when this happened. It didn't seem right. It was an open and shut case too quickly. They held the boyfriend who shot one of the police officers accountable before anything else was done. And then they had to go back and pull that back. When they pulled back when they pulled back the charges on what they were charging them for, I knew the water was muddy, real muddy, like Florida swampland muddy. That's what I knew. What is going on? What is going on? No apologies needed, bro. No apologies needed. Express yourself. Express yourself. I just don't use it. You use it how you want. I just don't use it. Everybody got the picture, though. But we all knew the water was muddy when they dropped all the charges against him, when they were adamant that everything they did was on point, that they had all paperwork, they had all reasoning, they had all the reasons to go into that house. And now we find out the search warrant was manipulated. The way they went in was wrong. The shots fired were not in the house. They were outside the house on the side of the house where he shot 10 times through a window. which one of the bullets is what struck Breonna Taylor, and so on and so forth. So everything we heard in the beginning is now being debunked. But we all knew that. Justice for Breonna Taylor. Finally. Finally. Money don't do it. Money don't do it. Holding people accountable is what does it. And I want to get into this real quick because this just jumped out at me. And it's away from the politics. But there's an Ohio man who's gone viral after he quit his teaching job of nearly 6 years to become a manager at a local Walmart. Now, people may say, well, what the heck? Do you know this 28-year-old? He posted a brief TikTok on July 18th, holding up a Walmart vest, like he had just got drafted by a professional team. You know how they hold the jersey up? I'm a first-round draft pick. He held the jersey up, and he said he's a teacher for almost 6 years, and he was only making $34,000 a year. He was only making $34,000 a year. I mean, $43,000 a year, excuse me. But he said by going to Walmart as a stocking coach at the Walmart in Massillon, Ohio, he will be making $55,000 a year before bonuses. Goshen said he made the decision to switch career paths because he hopes to eventually start a family with his fiance and believes Walmart will better provide him with the money he needs to do so. He also said it was a lot better than I think people are used to and what people would expect. He also said he saw more growth opportunity at Walmart, explaining, you don't have to go and get another degree or more initials or letters in front of your name in order to advance. The reason this jumped out at me is because we pay teachers who are the first impressions on our children $30,000, $40,000 a year. And I'm going to go out on a limb because he even said in here that with that $43,000 he was making, that required him to do overtime. It required him to be a coach on two different things to get paid. All those things came into play. But with this program he's in, he also has the opportunity to go college to career program, which Walmart just started. And what it is taking people with college degrees and putting them in these programs to become managers of stores with a starting salary of $65,000. It can take as long as 10 years on average for an employee to progress from a salaried coach role to a store manager. As a store manager in this career path, once you become a store manager, store managers nationwide make $210,000 was the average salary in 2021. So you can't be mad at the young man for taking this, but here's where I think we need to look at things. What does this say about us as a country and our educational values? We can always talk about what they're trying to take out of school, but they're not trying to teach in school, their history and all that kind of stuff. We can talk about that all day long. But what does it say about us as a country who don't invest in our teachers, who are educating our children, who are the most impressionable on our children other than their parents when they first start going to school? $30,000 to $40,000. Some people can't live on $30,000 to $40,000. But we're expecting people that we're paying $30,000 to $40,000 to have student loans because they had to get a degree in order to be a teacher. We're expecting them to survive on $30,000 to $40,000 and come in every day and instill educational value in our children to help them go to the next level. Something's wrong. Something is very wrong when we're only paying them pennies on the dollar. I remember my first kindergarten teacher, Miss Duhart. I love that woman. Miss Duhart, Elm Street Elementary School, kindergarten teacher. Her and Miss Allen. And Miss Allen was the aide. I remember them like yesterday. I remember things she told me. I remember when I had my first picture taken, I had a suit on, I had a shirt with an open collar. She buttoned it up and the collar was about this long. It still got about this long. And every time I look at that picture, I don't think about the picture of me. I think about my teacher, my first kindergarten teacher. That's why this jumped out at me, because we're paying teachers. And don't get me wrong. I know there's teachers in the system that do it for the love of teaching. I get that. But love of teaching don't pay bills. Love of teaching don't maintain your livelihood. Love of teaching don't pay a mortgage. Love of teaching is just an impact. But how much of an impact can you have on those children if you're worrying if you're going to have a roof over your head, or your living conditions are subpar, or you don't even have a good enough car to get back and forth to work? Keep that in mind the next time you go to a parent teacher conference and that teacher is telling you about your child, telling you the good, the bad, and the ugly, and you get an attitude with that teacher that's only getting 30, 40, maybe $50,000 a year for teaching your child, babysitting your child every day. And he's telling you, or she's telling you, what your child needs to work on to make them a better student. And from that, being a better student makes them a better human being. Think about that before you start jumping down that teacher's throat. Ask yourself, what are you doing to help that teacher make your child the best he can be? Just a thought. Just thought. It's not always about the money, but the money pays a big factor. Jerry L. Page, what's up, my brother? Appreciate the support, man. Appreciate the support. Teachers are important. They're not getting paid like they're important, but they're very important. This is the last thing right here today, and then we get into mind, body, and soul. But the House approved an amendment to the National Defense Authorization Act to compel government officials to prepare a report on combating white supremacists and neo-Nazi activity in the police and military, despite every Republican voting against the measure. Now, this happened while I was gone. But there was a measure up that it says the Snyder Amendment called for the FBI, the Department of Homeland Security, and the Secretary of Defense to publish a report that sets out ways to combat white supremacist and neo-Nazi activity in the uniformed services and law enforcement agencies, not later than 180 days after enactment and every 6 months thereafter. Excuse me. The amendment called for the total number of people who were discharged from the military or police because of their links to or support for far-right extremism to be published. The amendment also states that the report the government is being asked to write should detail how agency leaders responded to planned or effectuated incidents connected to white supremacist or neo-Nazi activity. Now, I know that's a mouthful, but let me break it down into some terms. The National Defense Authorization Act was voted on, and in it broke it down to the point of what they're trying to find out is white nationalism, white supremacists, militias within the ranks of the military, law enforcement, and DOD, Homeland Security, all that kind of stuff. They want to know who these people are, how cognizant it is, and they want reports on it. That's what this bill was all about. That's what this act was all about. The vote came out 218 to 208. Every Republican voted no. 218 to 208. Every Republican voted no. What is the problem? Why don't they want to know? Why shouldn't we know? If you have white nationalists, white supremacists infiltrating into our military, into our law enforcement, into any of these things that are going on in this country that are supposed to defend this country, and you don't want to know how prevalent it is, and when it comes up for a vote, every Republican says no. Why? Because for me, now I'm a black man, so it may sound crazy coming from me, but for me, I want to know. I want to know if the man sitting beside me or the woman sitting beside me in my everyday interactions has my best interest at hand or can't stand me just because of my melanin content or what they believe they have superior complex because of who I am and where I come from and how I look. So the question I ask is, and you guys can answer it yourselves, is why are the Republicans so hell-bent on this being put into play? And the reason why is because most of those people that will be exposed are the ones that vote for them. They want to keep it undercover. They want to keep it low key. This is what one of the people that voted against it said. This amendment attempts to create a problem where none exists by requesting investigations into law enforcement and the armed services for alleged rampant white supremacist or white national sympathies, Big said. The House is now expected to pass the full NDAA. It will then be passed over to the Senate, where it could be stripped down. So he's saying that there is no problem. So why are we trying to make it a problem? And I'm going to use this quote. I didn't make it. He said it. The former president we were just talking about said this. And he said during the pandemic, he said, if you ain't testing, if you ain't doing a lot of testing, you ain't got a lot of positive results. If you don't test people, then you don't get a lot of positive COVID results. That's the same thing this guy's saying. If you don't investigate it, there ain't no problem. You know, there's no problem. You don't identify it. If you don't look for it, it's not there. Boy, I tell you, for those of you, I don't tell you who to vote for. I don't tell you how to vote. You vote how you vote. But pay attention. Listen to what they're saying. Watch what they do. Look at what they vote yes or no on. Talk to the family if you can. Talk to the family if you can. Oh, man, I tell you. Let's go on and get into this. Mind, body, and soul. Mind, body, and soul. It's year 2022. We're taking it 1,440 minutes. That's in a 24-hour day. You get 1,440 minutes, which breaks down to 1,440 moments. Live and appreciate each moment that you get when you open your eyes every morning. Today's mind, body, and soul is a slogan from Nike. Just do it. Just do it. You know, this week, over the last 2 weeks, really, I thought about a lot of things in my life. I had to do a retrospective look. I had to do a retrospective look at things. And I'll say this, and I hope it touches somebody to make you get up and just do it. There's a lot of things in our lives that we always say, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna start that. I'm gonna eat this. All these things come into play when we talk about what we gonna do. And I sat back over the last 2 weeks and thought about how many times have I said, I'm gonna. And it was too many for me to remember. But today, I'm gonna tell you guys, and I want you to think about this hard. I want you to think about this deep. When they say just do it, what's holding you back? You know, we get caught up in my money ain't right. If I eat that, I'm going to gain weight. I can't do this because this might happen. We always talk about what ifs, but we never concentrate on what is. What is the fact that you woke up today. What is the fact that you're going to have debt no matter which way you look at it. What is the fact that you're never going to completely be and look and feel and weigh exactly what you want. Because here's the thing. When you think of what if, and you may weigh, and I'll give you my prime example. I went to the doctor. The doctor told me I was 200 pounds. Told me I need to lose some weight. And I was like, well, doc, I got bad hips, bad knees. What I'm supposed to do? Those are excuses. But I know what is. What is my motivation to be better than I was yesterday. But one thing I'm not going to do, I'm not going to not eat that candy bar. I am not going to not eat that ice cream. I'm not going to not eat that cake. I am not going to sacrifice what I enjoy to look a certain way. I'm not going to sacrifice what I enjoy so people can look at me and say, ooh, boy, you're looking good. I'm not going to, if I want some ice cream and cake, everybody knows me, know I'm going to get me some ice cream and cake. It's just who I am. You should do the same thing. If you want to take a trip, take that trip. Put it on a credit card. Because guess what? You're going to go to work when you come back. Find a plan in order to pay that trip off. The longer you put it off, the less likely it's going to happen. You go out to dinner, if here's my thing. You probably eat healthy in a week, in a 7-day period, you probably eat healthy 5 days, 4 to 5 days out of that. The unhealthy is not extreme. When you go out to eat and you decide to go out to a dinner and you sit at and you decide to get dressed and go somewhere to eat, enjoy yourself. Don't go out there and tell me, I just have a salad. Nah, eat the salad during the week. When you decide to go out, just do it. Splurge on yourself a little bit. You pay your bills, you pay your mortgage, you take care of your kids, you take care of everything that's responsible to be taken care of, except you. You sacrifice for anybody and everybody else, except you. I'm 56. Most of y'all that listen to the show and know me, y'all about the same age. Some give or take a couple years older, a couple years younger. We all in that mid-range. Johnny Clark, good morning, bro. Appreciate the support. But at the end of the day, we've lived and we've sacrificed more times than we care to acknowledge. And there's nothing wrong with those sacrifices. There's nothing to hold on to say, man, if I didn't have this to do, if I didn't have that to do, you got today. That's all we have is today. There's no, and we don't like to talk about it, but let's just be honest. There's nothing saying that you're going to wake up tomorrow. But if you woke up today, you got 24 hours in front of you, God willing. And in those 24 hours, just do it. 1,440 moments. Just do it. Stop putting off tomorrow. That old cliche, stop putting off tomorrow what you can do today. Plan that trip. Eat that ice cream. Eat that candy bar. Because let me tell you something, I'm going to do it. Oh, sure, for sure, I'm going to do it. I'm definitely going to do it. Joe Kirk, enjoy life to the fullest. God gave us life. Enjoy it. Exactly. Easy eat, preach, bro. Look, let me tell you, I'm going to just break it down like this. I sit here and I look at this camera. I can see myself. Y'all see me. I look in the mirror. My jaws ain't never been this big. I don't care no more. I'm not worried about the visuals. Is when I go to the doctor, all I want to know is how my bodily functions work. Am I functioning right? Is everything going okay in the internal part? If everything functioning in there, now don't get me wrong. I don't want you to go out here looking all sloppy and carrying on. Just let it go. I say just do it. I ain't say just let it go. I said just do it. Don't just let it go. Just do it. But what I'm telling you is this: the visuals that we see in the mirror can cause us not to enjoy ourselves to the fullest. If you're doing your yearly checkups, your yearly physicals, everything that you're supposed to do to stay healthy, that ice cream ain't gonna kill you. Moderation is the key. If you got a budget and you want to take a trip, manipulate that budget to be able to take that trip. Stop putting these things off. Stop putting these things off because we get this ride one time. One time. We always celebrate that trip around the earth, around the rotation of the earth. Every year, that birthday comes up and we celebrate it, which you should. But at the same time, that's a part of the life cycle that we have. And as I said, we don't know the day or the hour, but we're going to leave here. And some always say is, I don't live with regrets. Anything and everything I've ever done was a decision I made, whether it was a right decision or a bad decision in somebody else's eyes, it was a decision I made and I have to live with that. So if I decide to go get me a bowl of ice cream, that's my decision. Because the other thing, and this is why I tell you, just do it. When you leave here, somebody going to do your eulogy. And they're going to get up there and they're going to say everything good about you because of the audience that they have. They're going to say everything good about you because of the audience out there. They don't want to rough no feathers. They don't want to say nothing bad about you. They're going to say everything good about you. But live your life for your enjoyment and for your satisfaction. Now for everybody else. Because after that eulogy is spoken, and they put that dirt on top of that casket, and everybody proceeds to go to that repast. If you ever want to know the truth about somebody that has just passed away, listen to the eulogy. Take it in. But if you want to know the truth about somebody and how he lived or she lived and what went on in their life, the truth, when you get to that repast, look for that car with the trunk up and the group of people standing around there with the red plastic cups, and just listen. If you want to find out the truth about somebody, listen to them people out there standing around that trunk drinking that truth serum. They're going to tell it. And I say that because write your story. Don't let nobody else write it. Write your eulogy while you are walking this earth. Don't let nobody else write it. Because when you leave here, it's just like in these cases, when people get shot on the street, they get pulled over and they get killed, they never get a chance to tell their part of the story. Just do it. Live your life to the best ability you can. Stop worrying about other people. Stop worrying about other people. Chris Jones, bro, you making me laugh because I'm looking through my medical records from bowling right now. Exactly. Look through your medical records, bro. If you ever want a reality check, go back through your medical records for a minute. When I retired, and I'm going off a little bit here, but he brought up a good point. When I retired from the military back in 2006, I weighed 170 pounds. Right now, I'm tipped the scale a little bit heavier, but that's not point. The point is, I'm still here. I'm still here. I'm not unhealthy. I'm living life. I'm enjoying that ice cream. I'm enjoying that cookie. I'm enjoying that candy bar. And Lord knows I'm enjoying that cake and a beer every once in a while. Just do it. Stop holding yourself back. And I'm concentrating on food, but take that trip, even if it's a road trip. Put that money aside. Enjoy life now. There are no do-overs. You're going to have debt. You're going to have debt. Figure out a way to pay it. Figure out a way to enjoy yourself. You've been paying bills your whole life. When's the last time you took a trip? When's the last time you just got in the car and went somewhere? I know gas prices are high, but guess what? You're going to put gas in the car anyway because you got to go to work. Putting another tank in ain't going to break you. Let's go ahead and wrap this thing up because I could go on there for a long time. Now, I appreciate everybody tuning in. I'm glad to be back after 2 weeks. It was a 2-week break. I had something very important. And just know this. Where I was opened my eyes to what life is all about. The relaxation, the visuals, and how good God is and how the beauty that God has created on this earth that a lot of us still have not taken the time to go see. That's all I'm going to say on that. But go out there, just do it. Appreciate yourself. Do everything you're supposed to do. And, man, enjoy life. Call somebody. You know, I always say this near the end of the show, but call somebody that you ain't talked to in a while. Reach out to them. Malcolm Massenberg, what's up, my brother? Appreciate your support, man. Appreciate you tuning in. Reach out to somebody you ain't talked to in a while. Somebody wants to hear your voice. Somebody needs to hear your voice today. Not next. I'll call them next week. No, they need to hear your voice today because you don't know what somebody's going through. And if you get that call from somebody out of the blue, maybe you need to hear that voice. Just take that into account in your travels today. As I always say before I sign off, love yourself, love one another, keep your head up, and most definitely keep your faith in God. I'm your boy, R.W. Coolins. I appreciate y'all tuning in, and I'll be back again next week. R.W. Coolins on all social media platforms. Go there, listen, like, share, do what you do with all the other shows you might listen to. And hey, man, we're going to keep doing what we do. I'll be back next year. Oh, anniversary show coming up in September. I haven't got the exact date. OT will be hosting. I'll let y'all know. We're going to do big things on this show. 10 years in the making, baby. It'll be 10 years, and we're going to celebrate. I appreciate everybody tuning in, and I'm out. Holla at me. See y'all next week.